I want to thank everybody for coming. I am not much of a public speaker, and I get very nervous and talk fast. So if I do, I'll try to slow down and just keep things on an even keel. And just to let you know, I'm also your state recreo person. So I do have a little affiliation with PASR. Um, when I was approached to do something, I thought, river cruising, because there's a lot of questions about that. So I thought it might be a good subject. So I was glad that you're joining us. So I think probably the first place to start is what's the difference between an ocean cruise and a river cruise? So, first off, the size of the boats. We will just start there because you can have a massive ship with 1,000 to 8,000 passengers. On a river cruise, there's an average of 156. So you can see that's a huge difference. And your cruise is much more personal. Usually on ocean cruises, your excursions are an additional cost. Depending on what river cruise you're on, you may get one free one a day, you may get more than that. So you're not paying for that. Um, on the ocean cruises, sometimes the specialty dinners cost extra. There's usually not a fee on the river cruises for special dining. Um, you don't have any sea days, you're always at a port. Um, Drink packages, you usually pay for that on an ocean cruise, and bottled water and those things. Those things are generally free to a limit, depending on what river cruise you're on. Most of them will offer alcohol at lunch and dinner. Some offer it more, some offer it 24/7. It just depends on the cruise line that you're on. So that's another consideration. Some of them with the ocean cruises, if you have a loyalty, you're getting perks that you can go to different places on the ship that someone else might not be able to do that. Now there are loyalty with the ocean cruises, but they may be that they give you free transfers on your air if you don't book your air with them, or $100 off for booking. So they all have everyone has their own little thing. Um, Another thing is excursions in port. As many of you have seen on Facebook and social media, like I have people running for their ship because they're missing, they went overtime. That can happen on a river cruise, but not quite as much as it's going to happen on an ocean cruise. Also, when you're in port at night, if you're in port, you don't have to get back on that ship usually, that you're free to walk around in the town in the evenings or take a bike and go through town in the evening. So there's a lot of options there that you can do that you can't do when you're on an ocean cruise. Also, the group sizes are smaller. They're usually depending on the cruise line, they can be anywhere from 20 to 40 to 50 people compared to as many as you may get on an ocean cruise. Um, and another big question is the waters. Usually they're usually not, you're not going to get seasick on an ocean cruise like you are on a river cruise like you are on an ocean cruise. So there is that. I got to turn this chat off because I'm watching it and I don't want to watch it. So that's getting me all befuddled. Okay, so those are a few differences between the two. Um, and there's a lot of misconceptions too. One of the ones that I get as a travel advisor is people will say, I'm just going to do a river cruise when I'm old because I can't do anything else. Well, on a river cruise, a lot of the boats back up next to each other. You may have three ships to walk across till you're in port, or you may have to walk up and go across the top. So they're really not for people who are um, in wheelchairs. That I would definitely never recommend anyone to do that because chances are they're not going to get off. And the last cruise I was on, we had to go to the top deck to get off the ship. So if you're in a wheelchair, there's no elevator to that top deck. So there's a lot of things that people, that's one of the biggest misconceptions. And a lot of the river cruises now, they are doing younger people. There's bicycles, there's fitness things, there's um, a lot of different options that of things you can do, like biking and kayaking. So those are things that you're not going to get a lot of senior citizens doing. So they are more, they're docking for, I mean, not docking, they're more for younger people than they were in the past. Um, Usually they definitely do not have the entertainment that you have on ocean cruises because there's much smaller ships. So you'll have smaller entertainment. They may be bringing some locals in whatever port you're in, and they may do a talk, do a presentation of dance or music. So it's more personal than what you're going to get on an ocean cruise. Let's see here what some of the other things. Hmm, the cabins are smaller usually on a river cruise and on an ocean cruise, but you're really not in that often in your cabin. I do like the balconies because I like to sit out and have a coffee or something sitting on my balcony. But a lot of people just spend their time on the top of the in the public spaces on the cruise lines. So um, your scenery is changing. Some sail at night, some sail during the day. For example, on the Douro, on those cruises, you can't sail. They don't allow anyone to sail at night because the river's so narrow. And if you saw the some of the locks that you went through, you would completely understand why they only sail during the day and not at night. So on that cruise, there's not like I said, in the evenings, you can get off. You don't have to get back on until the next day if you want. You can be out partying, excuse me, all night. Um, so there's are some of the differences. Um, so we do have river cruises in the United States also, and I will touch base about them in a few minutes. But when many people think of river cruising, they think of Viking. And Viking did an amazing marketing job hooking up with PBS. There's so many river cruise companies out there, but that's the one that most people think of when they think about a river cruise. But there are so many. There's Ama Waterways, Arosa, Avalon, Cruzy Europe, Emerald, Riverside, Riviera, Scenic, Talc, and Uniworld. Also, now Trafalgar is joining the um, getting on the bandwagon, and so is Celebrity. My only concern with that is all of the ports and all of the people, all those ships docking, because some of them are a little overloaded now. For example, in Amsterdam, they're limiting the number of people who can, the number of boats that can dock there because there's so many boats coming in to Amsterdam that a lot of them you have to stay out of town. And I think in Basel they're doing that. I think it's going to happen in a lot more ports just because there's, when you look at all these river cruise lines, they're all going to need space. So I am a little concerned about that in the future as to what's going to happen there. Um, some of them offer pickleball courts, swimming pools, hot tubs, exercise classes. None of them have elevators to the top. They'll have elevators throughout the ship, but to the top deck, they're not going to have that much to do. So um, they're all good. So I'm going to focus on AMA Waterways and just tell you a few things that they offer. And then, like I said, they're all pretty much the same. They all are offering Christmas markets now. They're all offering specialty cruises. So pretty much they do the same. One of the things I wanted to mention is children. Viking does not allow children at all. AMA does allow children, but there's nothing, and a lot of them do, but there's not a darn thing for kids to do, young kids to do on board. So you see very few there. But like AMA, for example, has hooked up with Adventures by Disney. So there is children sailing on those ships, and there are special activities for them. But on the other ones, there's not. I've been on, and the children, I can't call them children, high school students and college kids with their parents, you don't even know they're on board. Um, I was on a cruise in the United States on an American Cruise Line. They also allow children. You never knew those kids were there because they kept them in their in the cabins. They were like a month, they were like a few months old and 3 years old. So you never saw those kids. Fortunately, because their parents did keep them out of the way of regular people. But um, so you, I'm going to just read this here. So some of the lines are very luxurious and some are more casual. The casuals that I like are Viking, Ama, and Avalon. I really like Ama Waterways, and I'll let you know why that is in a few minutes, and I'll let you know a few things about some other ones. But they're a mid priced cruise line, as is Avalon and some other ones, but they're not foo-fooey. My clients like them because they're getting a very high quality product, but they are it's casual. They don't have to dress in a gown to go to dinner at night. If they get in late from an excursion, they're fine to go eat in what they have on. Usually people might freshen up a little bit and put another shirt on or something, but you don't have to dress to the nines. Except I would if you were doing like a special dinner with the chef or something like that, because they have something called the chef's table, and everyone is allowed to do that. Everyone has the opportunity to do it at least once. So you will go and have a special dining with wine and food all paired. The chef prepares for you. So that's on all of the Ama Waterways cruises except the Douro, because those ships are so small. There's no room on those for an extra dining room. But then you'll have another ship. They have the Magna, Ama Magna, and there's another one coming out. They have a number of dining areas that you can go eat at. So there's more choices than there are on their regular cruise lines. So some of the things they do, like some of the cruise lines include gratuities. Some include one excursion, others one. I'll break that down in a little bit. I'm just going to tell you what AMA does. I was going to use them as an example. So they cruise right now in Europe, in Colombia, in Africa, Asia, and Egypt, and they're looking at starting a cruise in India. I believe Viking has started that, or they will be shortly. They also, AMA and a lot of the other ones, like I said, offer specialty cruises like a Celebration of Music on the Danube, where you will travel along and go see where all of your famous musicians from that area will be involved, and you will have musicians on board to do special events. There are Latin cruises with Spanish-speaking people. There's soulful experiences that will focus on Black history and culture. You have Christmas and Easter markets. You have wellness cruises, special wine and beer cruises. AMA also has a golf program that you can, not everybody has to golf. The women can golf, the men can golf. The women can golf, the men can golf. While someone's golfing, somebody can stay on shore. Not everyone has to do it. And everything's included. All of your greens fees and everything are included. So there's a wide variety of different things that you can do that they're offering, and they keep doing more. The Smithsonian is another thing that has paired up with AMA. So you can go, they'll have some people from the Smithsonian there that will be talking about different things of interest that you're seeing on the cruise. Like I said, AMA usually there's a main restaurant and a lounge and a chef's table restaurant, except for on the AMA Magna, and there's going to be an AMA Rudy coming out. Those are much bigger. They're double wides. They have pickleball courts on board, so have a lot more space that they can offer, and there is more dining offers on that. So You get, with AMA, you get alcohol. Well, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are all included, as is a sip and sail happy hour before dinner every night. So they'll have little cocktails that are all included. And at dinner, you can have what you want to drink. One of the other nice things is if there's alcohol that you like and they do not have, um, you can get it on board. You can bring on board whatever you want. Unlike ocean cruises, if you see a bottle of wine you want, you can bring it on board. There's no corkage fee. You can have whatever you want. On a cruise that I was on, there was somebody that wanted a certain kind of rum. So they bought the rum, they brought it, they kept it behind the bar, and they would mix him drinks for that whenever he wanted that. So there's also coffee stations with 24-hour tea, coffee, hot chocolate, cookies. Um, Also, AMA includes all of their excursions with a few exceptions. And they're diverse. They range from full to half day tours, walking, biking, hiking. The groups are usually limited to 20 guests, which some cruise lines there might be 40 people. So you can envision how much easier it is to get around with 20 people compared to 40. Also, they break up the activity levels. So there'll be a level for gentle walkers, someone for regular walkers, and then fast walkers or hikers. So it's really nice that each excursion is broken up that way. Um, Due to health issues, my husband and we did gentle walkers on our cruise, and on one of the excursions, he and I were the only two people with the tour guide. So it was like a private tour, which was really very, very nice. So it keeps the experience much more immersive with having smaller groups than large groups traveling around. Like I said, usually evening entertainment involves local people coming on. There's usually a piano player that they'll keep on staff that plays at night. So they're pretty varied as to what you want to do. So I don't know if did this chart get sent out? Okay, so in regards to this chart, um, you have to take it with a grain of salt because of course there are some exceptions to everything. So when you're looking down, I'll just say, for example, like on the Ama Magna, there are four, it shows for dining, two for Ama Waterways. Well, on the Ama Magna, there are four dining options and 5 bars, which is not the case for some of their other cruise lines. Ama Magna, like I said, it's also huge. It has an average of maybe, I don't know, about 196 guests. So it's got a few more than some of the other ones. But like I said, it's twice the width of the regular cruise lines. I have, it's like I said, there's pretty much here, it covers pretty much everything. Like airport transfers, a lot of time if you purchase the cruise lines air, they'll pay for include your excursions. Um, One of the things that a lot of them do, which is really very nice, is you'll have a cruise director. So for example, if you're going on a cruise, I'll just use Budapest or the Danube, for example, and you're going to spend a couple nights in Budapest in the beginning, and excuse me, you're going to add Prague at the end. Excuse me. You will have a cruise director that is with you the whole time. Now, they won't be with you when you transfer from the ship to the hotel where your pre-nights are, but they'll meet you at the hotel and they will be with you until you depart from that land at the end. So they're with you the whole time. So if you have any questions or any problems, there is someone that you can go to. And I can tell you they're wonderful to deal with. And it's nice to have someone there to take care of you or answer any questions that you may have. I had a client on an AMA cruise who had a health issue and had to go to the hospital. Someone from Amos stayed with her, the wife, the entire time. So she was never by herself. Um, he was fine, it was all good. But it's just nice to have someone in your corner to take care of you if something comes up. Um, I really, yeah, think of much else. Like I said, Viking has an advantage over a lot of the cruise lines because they were the first ones to do these cruises. So they have great docking locations. One thing I do not like about them is their payment schedule. So if you'll get these great ads that'll say $25 deposit, and you're like, yay, I'm going to go on this, save myself this cruise in 2027. And it's only a $25 deposit. Well, in 2 months or a month and a half, you're going to have to pay that full cruise price. So they're holding on to your money until your cruise, say it's in December of 27, and you booked it now, they're holding on to all of your money between now and then. And I have a problem with that. I just don't like that. So that is the one thing that I do not like about them. I've said something to my um, business director. Everybody does, and that's just they're never going to change the way their business model is, and that is just like one thing that I just don't care for. But that's just the way it is. But they have a decent product. I'm not saying they don't. So I really don't have anything else. I'm sorry, I was so nervous. I don't do great here.
I
But
do have we have quite a few questions.
good,
Can I
good,
read
good.
them? Okay, all right. The first one was, why are river cruises in the USA so expensive?
Well, and I did want to mention the ones from the US. So let me do that quick.
Mhm.
Um, just like the river cruise, just like the river cruises in Europe, they're very expensive. There's only so many people on board. You have they're all small. I did an American Cruise Line cruise, and that was very expensive. But everything was included. All of the booze 24/7. There was even a bin where you could grab a beer whenever you wanted. Um, those people work their rear ends off. I will say I've done American Cruise Line in the US, and you may have somebody waiting on you for dinner who was cleaning your room that day. Um, so they really work. Their staff is a bunch of American kids or young or people who just work their rear ends off. They'll work on multiple things during the day. I was on a Ponant cruise that Talc did for the Great Lakes. That we had different staff. Like it was a French group. It was an American tour with Talc. So our tour guides were American. The ship was a French ship. So our cruise our captain was French, and most of the crew was French, along with some of the entertainment. And then most of the workers for their dining, they were Asian. Um, but it was a lovely cruise. It was very expensive, but it was just wonderful. So that's why they're expensive, just because, like I said, just like the ocean cruises, um, you have some excursions included. Like when I did the Tout cruise, everything was included. There was nothing, every single thing was included. When I did American Cruise Line, they did some things were included and some things you paid for, some excursions. Most of them were they were good. There was only one excursion that people complained about and they got their money back because they didn't feel that it was worth doing. Um, I have not done Viking. I looked at Viking. They go on the Mississippi also. Um, but that is why they are all expensive, if that helps at all.
Sure. All right. So is it AMA, AMA? That's a cruise.
AMA. Yep.
Yeah, okay. So for that cruise line, someone asked, is the dining set to three specific meals or is there the freestyle? And is there only one dining room on their cruises?
Okay. There is one dining room on their cruises, and you can generally go eat anytime between 5 and 7 for dinner. They'll have an early breakfast for early risers. They will do, I mean, they have specific times. You don't have to go at that time. Like if you want to go at 6:30, you can go at 6:30. If you want to go at 5 o'clock, you can go at 5 o'clock. Most of them have like I said, that chef's table, except for the cruise on the Douro does not. So the chef's table does make an extra dining room, so to speak. So that is two, and like I said, on the Alma Magna, you have more options because it's a much bigger ship. When I was on the Amadoro, like I said, it does not sail. It only sails during the day because of the Douro River. A lot of our excursions were our meals. We ate a lot of meals off of the ship. And I think that's one of the few cruises that you do a lot of them off of the ship. Most of our lunches were off the ship and a few dinners. So, and there might have only been one excursion that day compared to some of the other ones, like if you're going to Budapest or Prague, or, well, I'm not going to use Prague as an example, but um, France, if you're like in Paris, you may have three excursions you can pick from that day, or you may have one in the morning and one in the afternoon. When you're on the Douro, there were not options like that, and pretty much everyone did the same excursion, just because of the way the river is situated. There was a group from on our cruise from Argentina, and there was, I mean, there's probably 30 people in that group. So there was a cruise director specifically that spoke Spanish, but those people, they knew English really well.
Okay, and speaking of the excursions on the AMA, do the afternoon ones are they a separate price?
No, they're free. You don't pay for any excursions on Alma,
No. Okay.
except there is one along the Danube that you pay for, and it's an evening concert that you pay for. Now, if you do the music cruise with them, the evening concert's included. But on some of the other ones, it's not. There's also in Egypt, there is an extra excursion you pay for, but you don't pay extra for any of the excursions in Amma.
To know. What is the difference between a French balcony and a balcony?
Okay. Okay. A
I
French
don't know
balcony.
that one.
Okay. A French balcony is just kind of, it opens up the doors that you can look out and you have a balcony within your room. The regular balcony, you can walk out onto the balcony. So a lot of the river cruises will offer both a French balcony and a regular balcony. So you'll have both of those in your room that you can walk outside, or you can just open the curtains and sail along and look out without, you won't be sitting outside on a balcony.
Do other someone mentioned that Viking offers discounts for single rider or single,
Some
cruisers?
do, some are. Actually, that's a really good question because most of them do have a single supplement offer that they will give you. It might not be on all of their cruises, but on some of them, on AMA, on some of their French cruises, they have specific balconies that there's no fee on, no single supplement. Some of them, the single supplement will be in the bottom level cabins where you'll have just a window to look out. You don't have a balcony or anything like that. So it depends on what you're doing. So Viking offers it. Offers, actually, Riviera River Cruises, which is on here, they have some whole sailings that are single supplements. So if a bunch of girlfriends want to go and not share a room, they can book on one of those cruises that doesn't offer that is no fee for a single supplement. Now, the pricing is a little higher than on the other ones, but not that much. One thing of interest for Riviera and Talc, they use the same company built their ships. They do not own their ships. They rent their ships, but they're by the same company that they're using the same ships basically, and they're beautiful, and all the ships are beautiful. Um, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I like I said, I love Ama. It was it was great when we did the Douro. It was like right before Thanksgiving, and we were the only ship that was decorated for Christmas. So it was lovely.
Someone asked which line is the kindest to singles?
That's hard to say. One of the things I'm not familiar with what all of them offer. I know on AMA, when you have singles come on, they will have a special meeting with the captain, and they'll have all the singles together that they can meet each other. They do tables so that there may be five at a table. So singles can join in wherever. I mean, they've been very good. I had a woman on one of the cruises. She was on 30 some cruises, and it was her third time on the Douro because it's her favorite ship. And she sails single a lot because she was in her 80s and she doesn't have a lot of friends left. So she will do single, and she's never felt uncomfortable on a single. And there are some other women on that have sailed AMA before as singles. So, and I would imagine they all take good care of single people. I can't imagine anyone letting them feel excluded or anything like that.
What is the average length of a river cruise? How many, I guess, days?
Most of them are 7 nights. There are some longer ones, and there's some that you can do back to back. One of the things that I think most of them do, like you can do AMA, Viking, whatever, you can do one cruise and then do another cruise back for back. You usually get a discount for doing that, and they will arrange your air to do that. There's some of them, there's 14-day cruises. Some of your cruises to Egypt are longer because, and that's all included, the land portion. And it depends how much land you want to add. Most of them, a lot of people like to do their land on their own. If you do your land through the cruise line, they're off usually will have opportunities for you to do some, they'll take you out on a special excursion or something like that, which is very helpful. That they let you be as free as you want to do when you want.
Is the Douro a ship, or is that a?
Nope, it's a river in Portugal.
Oh, okay.
I went. I mean, it was something. The only reason I did that cruise, my in-laws, when they retired, when my father-in-law was working in Iran actually, doing work for the Shah, and they traveled around Europe for a month. And Portugal was their favorite country, believe it or not. Out of Greece, Italy, Portugal was their favorite. So I always wanted to go. So we did. And I get real emotional, sorry, just thinking about them. So that's why I always wanted to do the Douro. So it's amazing. Like I said, it's very, very different from other cruises because you are on this one little river. The heights, you go through the largest lock in Europe. It's incredible. I'm sorry, I get so stupid.
Okay. You want to take a moment? We do have some more questions.
Yeah, good. Let me get a sip of water here.
All right, yeah, go ahead. And let me just make sure I have them all here. There's a couple more here. Are you a travel consultant yourself?
I am.
Yeah, okay.
I am. I confess, I am. I've sold AMA, I've sold Viking, I've sold Emerald, I've sold Uniworld and Scenic. I did say Emerald and Scenic are owned by the same company. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I do.
Great.
And I was looking through here, I see, yeah, the ocean, you can bring bottles on wine or whatever, and usually there is a corkage fee for that. I was looking through here. Um,
Yeah, someone asked about and on Amma, are there excursions mostly about visiting cathedrals, or do they have any other type of excursions?
oh my goodness, no. I actually have somebody I'm working on excursions for them right now. So they're doing the Swiss Alps and Rhine castles. So here's some examples of their excursions. Um, they did the land. So they're flying into Milan and they're going to be 3 nights in Lake Como. And while they're there, the one day they get a walking tour, and another day they have a boat excursion on Lake Como. Then when they get to Basel, they have a choice of a city art tour, a 3 countries bike tour with wine tasting, or a castle, or they can take a full day and go to Lucerne. So that's a lot of options that are all free and included. And it's quite a variety. You can have, like in Strasbourg, there is a tour of Strasbourg that you can do that's a tasting, or you might decide to do a bike tour. Um,
Yeah,
some of
someone
these
just asked about the e-bikes, if there's any e-bike
they
tours.
are not e-bikes.
Oh, okay.
They're just regular bikes,
Regular
but
bike.
yeah, because of charging them. They don't have the facilities on board to charge them. Now I know on AMA, if you do the biking, they sell out quick. Not sell out, but they fill up. But when you pick an excursion, you're not committed to that. You can wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I really don't feel like doing that today. I'm going to do this other excursion. So you let them know and you can change. There's not a problem. So sometimes if you couldn't get a bike excursion before, you can get it later in the day. Or say, for example, I will use a day that there is not a bike excursion, let's say in Rudolph or something. You can go to one of their excursions, or you can just take one of their bikes off the ship and ride around on your own. You don't have to be on an excursion to do that. If there's not an excursion going on, you can do it. Or say in the evening, you want to get off the boat after dinner, you can take a bike and go around town. Um, they were the first company to do the AMA was the first company to offer the bikes. Um, so and usually, when you do the bike tours, there's usually somebody with you, unless you're taking it off after hours. So you're not just seeing cathedrals, you're doing tastings of things. Um, like this one thing is a gondola ride with a wine tasting, or you can do a vineyard hike, or you can take a bike tour. So it's just a lot that you can do. So it's not just castles or cathedrals. Um, there's a very wide variety, and I'm sure that's on all of them. I know Viking, they give a free walking tour, but if you want something, when you see all these great when they're walking around tasting stuff, there's a fee for those. Um, Avalon offers a few options, and then there's fee for some of those. So it just depends on the cruise line. Like one of them doesn't even, you have to buy an excursion package if you want to do excursions with them. But they all offer something in one way or another.
Nice. Okay. Someone asked about what your favorite cruise locations are and cruise lines. What are your favorite cruise lines?
As in river cruising,
Yeah,
or
well, yeah, I guess. I mean,
okay.
I'm
Well,
assuming, yeah.
I'm gonna say Ama is my favorite, just because it's the one I sell the most of. I stay very current with what they're offering. I think they're a very good product. Like I said, they're a little more expensive than some of the others, but when you compare apples to apples, I think you're getting a good product. They're very well known for their food. They do a lot of local sourcing. A lot of what you eat is through that the chef went out that morning or someone went out that morning and picked up the vegetables and things like that. I mean, they try to keep the food as fresh as they can. They have an honor from, don't ask me to say it, there's some French food thing that has honored them with prizes for their food service and things like that. So, um, one thing that happened, like for me, for example, and they're very good if you have food allergies, and I'm sure they all are, because that's one thing you don't want people to get sick. I have an egg allergy. So one night at dinner, there was this one girl that we really enjoyed waiting on us at night. And a server was just coming around bringing desserts to everyone. And he came to serve me, and she's like, no, 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 she can't have that. So they brought out my special dessert. I've had people with celiac, and they've done very, very well. The only food issue that they can't deal with is kosher, because the ships are not big enough to have two kitchens. So that is really probably the only food. If you need to eat kosher, you're not going to be doing that on a river cruise. And I think that's probably the case on all of them.
Someone asked about, and I hope I say this right, about how the ship handles varying water levels and
Okay.
transfer of
That is a good question, because that's
Yeah.
something that comes up.
Hmm.
You can have too much water, you can have not enough water. I can tell you that I saw not that long ago, a lot of people's Viking cruises were canceled and they switched over to AMA because theirs were not. And I'm not saying they don't have issues on the water, because they do. I've had clients that have had issues, but they have a lower draft on their ships that are built, so they can take lower water levels than some of the other ones can. But there are still problems. Um, I had a client who he was very disappointed, was on, and the Danube was just flooded. So they couldn't do some things they wanted to do. AMA did their very best, but they did have to, like Strasbourg, that excursion was canceled. Um, they had to put them on, they did put them on some buses for some longer trips. So they do have problems. I'm not saying they don't, because everyone does. And if someone says they don't, that's just not the case. Um, but they are building their ships, like I said, with a lower draft, so they have less of a problem than some of the other ones do for low water. Now, if you have high water, there's not a lot anybody can do about that. I can say that AMA was very good to my clients. They gave them $1,000 some off on a next cruise. I think, yeah, it was, I think like $1,500 off, or it might have been more than that on their next cruise, because travel insurance didn't cover it. Now, the one travel insurance company that I started working with, well, not started working, I've always used them. They're my favorite, Travel Insured. They offer a bundle now for cruises for that. If your water level is lower, they'll just give you $500. If your cruise itinerary has changed, they'll just give you $500. I mean, you have to have proof of that. And AMA was very good. I'm sure they all would, of writing a letter that they did have, because of water levels, have to make a change. So, but the one of the things about traveling, I don't care if you're on a cruise, if you're on a tour, or what, you just have to be flexible sometimes, because just that's the way there's things we can't control.
Someone's asking for your contact info, how they could get a hold of you if, they were interested in using any, I guess, your services, or were you able to give
Um,
that out, or?
yeah, I can give that out. Do you want me to put it in the chat?
That's up to you.
Okay.
You want to do that? Someone was asking. And
And
what,
I'm not doing this expecting to get business. I didn't even want to do this. My arm was twisted to do a thing. So that's not why I'm here.
and what American cruise line do you prefer? I
Well,
would say river cruise line.
I don't know, because I've not done the Viking. I've only done American Cruise Line, and they, like I said, they did a very good job. And every day there, like I would go every day, there'd be a speaker on that would talk about what you're going to see on the ship that next day, what you're going to do. I went every day to do that kind of stuff, just because I am interested in doing that.
Someone was asking about the name of, you were talking about insurance, the name of the insurance company.
I'll put it right here.
Okay. And
And
were
I can
you?
tell you, the people that go through Boscov's, that's who they use also.
Okay. And were you a school retiree?
Yes, I was a school secretary.
Oh, nice.
So that's why I'm nervous.
Oh,
I don't speak in front of people
well, you did
like
fabulous.
the teachers do.
Well, you did a great job. I think I got caught up on all the questions here. Let's see. Well, what about the AMA total payment? When is that due for that cruise line?
It's
AMA,
due 60 days,
60 days. Okay.
or is it 90? It might be 90.
Okay.
It might be 94.
Because someone on here, I think Alice, once she likes the ocean and she wanted to try smaller ships. So she had a lot of questions, which was nice. She was hoping to do a river cruise, been on lots of the
They're
ocean.
very, very different. You can't. I've had. I'm on a lot of Facebook pages for for the different river cruise lines, and some of the things people ask is are things that they've always done ocean cruises. So they will go into a river cruise as being um, thinking a lot of the same things happen. I see Alice has a question here about alcohol packages. Some you pay, some you don't. Some, like I didn't have any issue. For me on AMA, it was enough having at lunch and at dinner and that happy hour. I did not need anything else. I was done. Um, and then, but you do have to pay for Cokes and things like that. I found cheap things to be really reasonable, like $5 for a glass of wine or 250 for a Coke. I thought prices would be very good. On most of the ships, the laundry service, excuse me, laundry service is very cheap. So you don't have to worry about packing a lot because you can have your laundry done on board. Now it was expensive on the Douro, but those ships actually on the Douro, those ships are not owned by AMA or anybody else. They are owned by somebody in Portugal. So they have a whole bunch of different rules than what some of the other ones have. Um, let's see here. Yep, I know Gate One does river cruises. Let's see here. We answered that about excursions.
And Alice also said her husband enjoys the river cruises, but she was not pleased. I guess they took something to Ireland, and then she fell in love with the ocean. So she's looking to get back into doing, say, a river cruise. So, Alice, which one were you not pleased with? Was it oh yes, Viking? She said did laundry. Are the bathroom floors heated in Viking? Do you know?
I
Alice was
don't know. I know they're
okay.
not. I know they're not NAMA.
Okay.
Um, let's see.
Excuse me?
I said there are a lot of smaller ships that out there. There's a lot of cruise lines that offer smaller ocean cruises. You've got Windstar, Oceania, Ponant. There's a lot that are not huge ships. They're smaller, and there's some of the noted, some of the main cruise lines that also offer have smaller ships. With my husband's health, we can't do the big ships. So that's why we've been doing the smaller ones. When we did, he stayed on the ship for one of the excursions we did on the Douro. Like we went to Salamanca one day and it was a 2.5 hour drive there and a 2.5 hour drive back. Now we did have stops in between, so you weren't sitting on the bus for 2.5 hours, but it was a really long day for him to go, and he's on oxygen. To drag the oxygen batteries and everything along, it just would have been too much. And then to do a walking tour. So he stayed on board with what he called the other left behinds, which consisted of a retiree, not a retiree, a gentleman that was in the Korean War, and some other people that had some mobility issues. And speaking of mobility issues, when I was on American Cruise Lines, there was a lot of people there that had walkers. So you could, when we would get off for an excursion, all the walkers would come off and then the people would go on. So they very much cater to senior citizens. American Cruise Line does. And I'm sure they do. They have Pearl is one of their options. Pearl, it is Pearl. There's Pearl and there's another one called I forget what it was. That they do a lot of cruises around New England, up into Canada, and in the Great Lakes.
Someone asked about Alliance.
Alliance, that's a fine insurance company too. I sell that to people who want to use that. My personal preference is Travel Insured because I think they have better coverage than some of their limits are better than some of them, but Alliance is fine. I saw that. I'm not sure which cruise line was it though, to spell which one.
Yeah, which did you say? The travel insurance is a brand name, so it's time for us to renew. So it was Alliance, and what was the other one? The
Travel Insured International.
Travel, okay.
Yeah. And they do yearly products, but things can get a little tricky when you buy an annual product. I had one and then I just got rid of it because it was just, I would have to buy a new one because when I would book a trip, it didn't automatically renew. I would have to buy it before I wanted to. So I just quit. That was back in the days when we used to travel a lot.
Mm.
I don't know which cruise line they're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I see she's asked how to spell it. Yeah, I'm not sure which one. If you could put in the chat there which one you're referring to.
Well, if she can't spell it, she's not going to be able to put it in.
Oh, that's true too.
Oh, okay. Ama.
Or she can talk. If you wanted to voice, you can do that.
And if anyone wants to, I put my email address in there. If anyone wants to learn more about AMA, they are going to be having a, they call it a sip and sale, where you can sign up and do a webinar with them. If you email me your email address, I can give you that information, send it to you when they have it available, if you're interested in more from them about their company.
Okay.
Yeah, people dying, that is a big deal overseas. And that's one of the things that I like about you definitely did travel insurance, but that's one of the things that I like about Travel Insured International. $1 million is what they have for retrieval of remains, up to $1 million. Most of them, it might be 500,000. So depending where you are, if you're in China or if you're in Egypt or something, I think it's going to cost a whole lot more to get you shipped home than what some of the companies do. So that's one of the things that I do like about Travel Insured. So any more questions?
I think we got him. Well, there was a lot.
Okay, well, you all have been great. And like I said, I'm sorry I get so emotional and I just hate to talk in front of people.
Oh, well, you did great. We really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone here feels the same. And we want to thank Kathy And if there's anything else, if there's not, we'll just end for now. And I will send the recording if you want to watch it again. And, if you have anybody else that didn't join us today, they can watch the recording. I'll get that out. It looks like people are saying thank you, Kathy.
Oh, you're welcome. And like I said, if you want the information, if you wanted that information on that sip and sail, I'll be more than happy to send it out to you. I think it's like 10 a.m. and I can't remember the date. It's that last Monday in January, I believe, or Wednesday. I'm not sure which day it is, but I just found out about it yesterday.
And
So,
if you want to, you could give it to me and I could message the people, email them as well if
okay,
figure that out. Okay, great.
okay,
Thanks so much, Kathy.
okay. Thank you very much, everyone, and
Thank
Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too. Happy New
It's
Year.
still January. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.